In the fast-changing landscape of global geopolitics, one statement has captured the attention of policymakers, economists, and citizens across the world. Wherever the deal is best, India will buy oil. These words, spoken by India's envoy to Russia, are not merely a diplomatic soundbite. They are a declaration of India's evolving foreign policy, its energy security strategy, and its determination to pursue a path of independent decision-making amidst global turbulence, as the world witnesses wars, sanctions, and economic rivalries. India's approach to securing its energy needs reflects a new phase of strategic pragmatism, where national interest reigns supreme over ideological alignments. Tonight, we explore this powerful declaration, its meaning for India, its impact on global politics, and the road ahead for the world's fastest-growing major economy. To understand why this statement is so significant, we must first remember the critical role energy plays in India's development. India is the third largest consumer of energy in the world, and with a population of over 1.4 billion people, its demand for oil and gas continues to surge. Every factory that runs, every home that lights up, every vehicle that fuels mobility depends on energy imports. And here lies India's strategic challenge. Despite its ambition for renewable energy leadership, the country still relies on imports for more than 80% of its crude oil needs. This heavy dependence makes India vulnerable to global oil shocks, price fluctuations, and geopolitical disputes. Therefore, the statement by India's envoy to Russia is not just about trade, it's about survival, growth, and sovereignty. The Russia-Ukraine war brought the global energy market into chaos. Western countries, particularly the United States and the European Union, imposed sweeping sanctions on Moscow, trying to isolate Russia's economy. European nations rushed to cut off Russian oil and gas, a dependency that had defined their energy security for decades. Prices skyrocketed, inflation hit record highs, and the world economy trembled. Yet, in this turbulence, India made a bold and pragmatic choice. Instead of bowing to Western pressure, New Delhi increased its oil imports from Russia, buying at discounted prices, paying sometimes in non-dollar currencies, and ensuring cheaper fuel for its people. Critics called it opportunistic. Supporters called it brilliant realpolitik. Either way, it was a turning point in India's global image, a nation unafraid to put its interests first. But India's stance goes beyond Russia. The envoy's words, "wherever the deal is best," mean India will not lock itself into one supplier or one bloc. Whether it is Russia, Saudi Arabia, the United States, or even Venezuela, India will buy oil from whoever provides the most favorable terms. This approach ensures flexibility and resilience, shielding India from overdependence on a single market. In a world where geopolitics changes overnight, this is a shield against uncertainty. It sends a message. India will not be dictated to. It will negotiate from strength. This independence has not come without friction. The United States has often expressed its discomfort with India's purchase of Russian crude. Washington has argued that buying Russian oil indirectly funds the war in Ukraine. Yet New Delhi has stood firm, explaining that its responsibility is to its citizens, not to foreign conflicts. Indian officials have reminded the world that Europe, despite its rhetoric, has continued to buy Russian gas for months after the war began. Why then should India sacrifice its energy security? This candid pushback has only strengthened India's reputation as a nation that acts based on its own judgment, not on lectures from others. At the same time, India has been careful not to alienate any partner. It maintains strong ties with Russia, which supplies not only oil but also defense equipment. It engages with the Middle East, especially Saudi Arabia and the UAE, which remain crucial suppliers of crude. And it continues to deepen relations with the United States, a key strategic and technological partner. This balancing act reflects the very essence of India's foreign policy: multi-alignment in a multipolar world. Unlike the Cold War era, India is not choosing sides. It is choosing interests. Energy is not just economics. It is power. Control over oil routes, pipelines, and supply chains can shape the destiny of nations. For India, securing affordable energy means sustaining its economic growth, which is projected to remain above 6% annually, among the highest in the world. Without stable oil supplies, inflation could spiral, industries could slow down, and ordinary citizens could suffer from high fuel prices. Thus, India's oil diplomacy is inseparable from its domestic stability. Every liter of fuel saved, every rupee cut in import costs, strengthens the backbone of the nation. Moreover, this pragmatic energy strategy gives India leverage in global diplomacy. When the West urges New Delhi to cut Russian imports, India can negotiate better terms by reminding the world of its market size. When OPEC raises prices, India can explore alternative suppliers, reducing cartel pressure. By keeping its options open, India transforms from a passive buyer into an active player that shapes the market. This is what the envoy's words signify: flexibility as power, sovereignty as strategy. Looking deeper, we see that this energy pragmatism is not an isolated policy, it is part of India's broader vision of strategic autonomy. From defense partnerships to technology agreements, from trade routes to climate commitments, India is building a framework where it is no longer dependent on a single nation or bloc. Whether it is joining the Quad with the US, Japan, and Australia, participating in BRICS with Russia and China, or negotiating free trade agreements with Europe and the Gulf, India is everywhere but tied to none. This versatility is what makes India an emerging global power. But challenges remain. The global transition to renewable energy is accelerating. Solar, wind, and hydrogen are touted as the fuels of the future. For India, which is already a leader in solar installations, the shift to renewables offers hope for reducing dependence on oil. Yet this transition will take time. For the next 2 decades, oil will remain central to India's energy mix. And in this period, finding the best deals, the best suppliers, and the best strategies will be critical. Thus, the envoy's statement is both a reflection of the present and a roadmap for the near future. As we look ahead, the geopolitical consequences of India's oil choices will grow sharper. Russia, increasingly isolated from the West, will rely more on Asian buyers like India and China. The Middle East, adjusting to shifting U.S. influence, will look to India as a stable partner. The United States, aware of India's importance in balancing China, will tolerate differences on energy policy for the sake of strategic partnership. And China, watching closely, will see in India both a competitor for resources and a potential collaborator in building alternative markets. Energy, in short, is no longer just fuel, it is diplomacy, leverage, and strategy rolled into one. Therefore, when India's envoy to Russia says, "Wherever the deal is best, India will buy oil," it is a signal to the world. India will not be pressured. It will not be bound, and it will not be naive. It will act with pragmatism, guided only by the interest of its people and its vision of becoming a global power. This is not opportunism, it is sovereignty. This is not fence-sitting, it is strategic maturity. In conclusion, this statement captures the essence of India's journey in the 21st century: bold, independent, and unapologetically self-interested. It shows a country that has learned from history, adapted to modern realities, and charted its own path. Energy may be the subject, but the message is larger. India is rising, and it will decide its destiny on its own terms. The world can debate, criticize, or admire, but it cannot ignore.